Hello students, welcome to class 12 business studies videos. Today I am going to do chapter number 3, that is business environment. Now let us see the contents of this chapter. First is meaning of business environment. Second, features of business environment. Third, dimensions of business environment, and we are going to do 5 dimensions under this: economic, social, technological, political and legal. Then we are going to do the importance of business environment. Then demonetization, concept and features. So students, do you all agree that success of every business is dependent not merely on their internal management, but how they adapt themselves to the external environment in which this function. So in this chapter we are going to discuss what are the various elements of business environment and how business adapt itself according to the changing environment which is there. Now let us see few examples of how the change in business environment impact the businesses. So if you can see this first example, if there is increase in tax, the cost of production of business will increase, and with that they have to increase the selling price of their product. And if you increase the selling price of your product, obviously the sales will decrease and ultimately the profits of the company will decrease. See this another example. If there is increase in competition, how will this impact the businesses? There is reduction in the profit margin because your customers are divided among your competitors. See this example, change in fashion and taste of consumers. Now you need to remember that if there is a change in fashion or taste of consumer, it can be positive or favorable for you, or it may be unfavorable for you. If it is unfavorable for you, means consumers will shift from your product to your competitor's product or some new product which is there in the market. Similarly, if there is some technological improvement or innovation in the market, it will render your existing product or technology obsolete, and in order to survive you need to update your technology. And even political uncertainty to great extent affect the working of business. If the political party which is there in power, it is not stable, it will create a fear in the mind of investors and they'll stop investing in long-term projects. So business will lose the investment if there is a political uncertainty. So we have seen that business is impacted by lot of things. It can be a political uncertainty, technological changes, changes in taste and preferences of the consumers. So now we'll first start with meaning of business environment. So the term business environment means sum total of all individuals, institutions and other forces that are outside the control of business enterprise, but they may affect its performance. So from this definition we can see that business is sum total of 3 things: individuals, institutions and other forces. So if we sum total these 3 things, this is what is business environment. And we need to remember that these forces are outside the control of business, but they affect the working of business. So means they control you, you can't control them. So now let us see what is included in individuals which come under business environment. So individuals are your customers, government, competitors, suppliers or lenders. Under institution we have court, media or bank which affect the working of the business. And under other forces we have 5 forces: social, legal, economic, political and technological forces. And these are the 5 forces which we are going to do in detail in this chapter. And in order to remember these 5, there is one acronym called as SLEPT, where S represents social, L represents legal, E economic, P political and T is technological. So these are the 5 forces which are beyond the control of business, but they have a great impact on the working of business. Now let us do the features of business environment. So there are total 7 features which are there. Instead of the word features, we can use the word nature or characteristics of business environment. So now let us discuss this one by one. So first is totality of external forces. So business is sum total of all the forces that are external to business firm. So when we are talking of business environment, please remember it is not one thing, it is sum total of many forces, and these are not internal forces, rather these are external to business and they are aggregative in nature. Now what do you mean by aggregative is like when you calculate your aggregate score, so what you do is you total the marks which you score in your 5 subjects. Similarly, when you talk of business environment, it is not one single thing, there are many forces, we have to total it, we have to make an aggregate of this, and then we can call it as a business environment. So it is not a single thing, rather it is an aggregate. Next is specific and general forces. So what are specific forces? These include investors, competitors, customers, and they are the people who influence the business directly. So if some forces are affecting your business or influencing your business directly, they are called as specific forces. Whereas general forces are the forces like social, political, economic, legal and technological. So basically this is what I told you is SLEPT, if you want to remember these 5 forces. They are the forces which affect the business indirectly. So they don't directly affect, rather they indirectly affect the business. Those forces are called as general forces. So what are the 2 types of forces of business? Specific forces and general forces. Next is interrelatedness. So all the forces, like I told you, there is social environment, legal environment, technological environment, they all are interrelated, they are linked with each other. Change in one will have an effect on other. So these forces, they are interlinked to each other. For example, if there is a change in government or the political party, with that the import and the export policy changes. This is an example of interrelatedness, because change in government is a political change or the political factor, whereas import export policy is an economic factor. So change in one will lead to change in another. All these factors are not separate from each other, rather they are interlinked with each other, and if there is change in one factor, it affects the other factor. Next is dynamic. So you have to remember that business environment is never static, it keeps on changing. If you talk of technological environment, if you talk of legal environment, political environment, they will never remain same, they keep on changing. Next is uncertainty. So it is very difficult to predict future happening. So as a businessman, if you want to predict your political environment in future or legal environment in future, it is very difficult. You can only make certain estimates and forecast, but what exactly will happen in future, it is very difficult to predict. You don't know which political party will come into power, or what new laws will be passed, or what new technology will come. So it is very difficult and it is very uncertain. Next is complexity. So business environment is very complex. As I told you that all the forces, they are interlinked. Change in one will lead to change in another. So understanding business environment is not easy. It is very complex. It is relatively easier to understand in parts, but difficult to grasp it in totality. So when you talk of individual environment like social environment separately, political environment separately, it is easy for you to understand. But when you talk of the totality, what will be the net effect of all these forces on the demand or the sale of your goods, this thing is very difficult to calculate, because all these forces are interlinked. Change in one will lead to change in another, and then it will lead to change in another factor. And how in totality this will affect your business, it is very difficult to understand. Next is relativity. So business environment differ from country to country and from region to region. So do you agree the food habits come under the category of social environment? It differ from Indian and Western countries. Similarly, laws differ from country to country. So legal environment is also different. You can't say that all the countries have the similar legal environment. Even it differs from region to region. So if you talk of India, we have different states. In every state you can see that their traditions, their eating habits, it all differ. Like in South India, their food habit is they take idli and dosa. In Gujarat, they are mostly eating dhokla or khandvi. In North India, it is samosa or chole bhature. So we have done the 7 features. First is totality of external forces that I have told you. Business environment is not one thing, it is actually a total of all the external forces which are there. Second, it has 2 forces, specific and general. Which affect your business directly is specific, and which affect your business indirectly is general force. Next is interrelatedness. So you know that all the forces of business environment, they are interrelated and interlinked. Change in one will lead to change in another. Next is it is dynamic. It keeps on changing. It never remain static. Next is uncertain. Very difficult to predict. You don't know what is going to happen in future. Next is business environment is complex. It is very difficult to understand the business environment as all the components, they are interlinked, and how they are going to affect your business, it's very difficult for you to understand. Last is relativity, that it differs from country to country and even from region to region. So let us revise the features of business environment which we have just done. I'll give you a statement and you have to identify the feature which is applicable here. Demand of saris may be high in India but almost negligible in Europe. So which feature of business environment is highlighted here? The answer is relativity, as business environment differ from country to country and region to region. Second, business environment have some forces which affect business directly and some forces which affect them indirectly. So the feature here is specific and general forces. Specific forces affect business directly, whereas general forces affect business indirectly. Next is business environment keeps on changing, whether in terms of technological improvement, shift in consumer preferences, entry of new competition in the market. So business environment keep on changing. So the feature applicable here is dynamic nature. Next is increase in literacy rate, that is social environment, lead to increase in demand for books and stationery, that is economic environment. So change in one environment is leading to change in another environment. So the feature highlighted here is interrelatedness, that all the factors or all the dimensions of business environment, they are interlinked, and change in one will lead to change in other. Next is it is very difficult to predict future happening, especially when the environment changes are taking place too frequently. So business environment is very difficult to predict. So the feature identified here is uncertainty. So now we are doing a topic, dimensions of business environment, a very important topic of this chapter. And I told you that if you want to remember the dimensions, there is one acronym which you need to remember, and that acronym is SLEPT. So there are 5 dimensions of business environment: social, legal, economic, political and technological. And another name for dimensions can be elements or components. So we are going to do in detail what are these components of business environment. So we'll first start with social environment. Social environment includes customs and traditions, values, social trends, society's expectation from business. So when we talk of customs and traditions, There are a lot of festivals which are celebrated in our country. Festivals like Diwali, Eid, Durga Puja, Onam, they provide significant opportunities for businesses such as clothes, greeting cards, sweets. So during this period, their sales increase. So these traditions and customs have a major impact on the working of business, and they all come under the category of social environment. Similarly, the values or the value system of the people which is there in our society plays a major role on how business has to operate. Then if we talk of social trends, business has to keep in mind the trends which are there in the society. Like presently in urban dwellers, people are becoming very health conscious, and as a result the sale of organic product, diet soft drinks, gyms, food supplements, it has increased. However, it is a threat for businesses such as liquor, tobacco or dairy processing. So business has to keep in mind what are the trends, and it poses both opportunities and threats for business. Similarly, what are the society's expectation from business? This is also very important, and it's a responsibility of business to fulfill the society's expectation and not to indulge in activities which are not liked by society. These are certain other components like shift in presence of women in workforce. So you know that earlier women used to stay at home, but now most of the women are working. So how this is going to be an opportunity for cosmetics business, food processing business, and technology business. Similarly, educational system and literacy rates of a particular area, composition of family, whether it is a nuclear family or a joint family, then birth rate and death rate, and what are the attitude of people towards innovation, lifestyles, occupational distribution and consumer preferences. It plays a major role. Then concern with quality of life, life expectancy, expectations from workforce, population shift, consumption habits, they all come under the category of social environment, and business has to take care of the social environment in which they are working. Next is legal environment. So legal environment covers various legislation passed by government, administrative order issued by government authorities, and the court judgments. So when you talk of various legislations, you are already aware of various acts which are there, like you have heard of Consumer Protection Act, Companies Act, Partnership Act, then there is Information Technology Act. So there are a lot of acts which are passed by government. The businessman has to keep in mind all these acts, and they should ensure that they are not violating provisions of any of the act which is applicable to their business. Even some administrative orders are passed by government from time to time. The order which was given by government that you are not allowed to use plastic bags. Plastic bags of less than 50 micron thickness are prohibited under plastic waste and management rules. So all these administrative orders or rules issued by government are to be followed by businesses, and if businessman is not following them, it can land them into serious problems where some penalty can be imposed on them, or they may be forced to shut down their business. So it is always better that business should follow the laws of land which are there, and they should follow all the court judgment and other orders which are given by the government. You can see this order also. You know that on all the baby food, it is compulsory to write a notice that mother's milk is best for your baby. While you are labeling your product, you have to keep this law or order in your mind. Next is economic environment. Economic environment includes interest rate, inflation rates, change in disposable income of people, stock market indices. We'll first talk of interest rate. If the interest rate of taking loan increases, it will definitely have an effect on businesses such as automobile and construction business. If the interest rate increases, it's a threat for automobile and construction business because their sales will decrease because loan is available at a higher rate of interest. Similarly, if there is inflation, things will become costly for business and their cost of production will increase, which will ultimately lead to decrease in their profit margins. Similarly, if there is a change in disposable income of people, it also has an impact on business. Like if the disposable income of people is more, they will be buying more, and as a result there is an opportunity for business as their sales will increase. Similarly, there are stock market indices like Sensex, Nifty, which indicate the movement of share prices. This all come under the category of economic environment, and they have a big impact on the working of business. So these are the other components of economic environment. What is the existing structure of economy in terms of relative role of private and public sector, the rate of growth of gross national product and per capita income, balance of payment, expansion of transport and communication facilities, public debt, planned outlay in private and public sector. So all these economic factors come under the category of economic environment. Then if we talk of political environment, it includes political factors such as general stability of the party, then peace in the country, and specific attitude of elected representative towards business. So when we talk of stability, if the government in power is not stable, investors will defer their investments. They'll wait for political party to be stable, then only they'll make a long-term investments. So during the period of instability of political party, businessmen will lose lot of investments, because whenever the party changes, there are changes in their rules and policies. So every investor wait that the political party should be stable, then only they will invest in business ventures. Similarly, peace in the country plays a major role. Then what is the attitude of elected government representative towards your business also plays a major role. It can be both positive or it can be a negative. So if the elected party or the representative of elected government is positive toward your business, it will be an opportunity. You will get more sales, you get more profits. But if their attitude is negative towards your business, it will be a threat for your business. The other elements of political environment are what are the ideologies of major political parties, what are their thinking, what are the practices of ruling parties, what is the extent and nature of government intervention in business, and what is the relationship of our country with foreign countries. I've seen that with the visit of our Prime Minister Modi ji, we have good trade relations with the other countries. So again, this can be an opportunity for a business when the relationship of our country with foreign countries is good. Next is technological environment. It includes scientific improvements and innovations which provide new ways of producing goods and services and new methods and techniques of operating a business. So when you talk of new ways of producing goods and services, you have seen that earlier most of the work used to be done manually, but now there are machines, there are robots which are doing the work. Next is new methods and technique of operating business, which is that products and goods and services are same, but what we are doing is the way we are operating business is different. Like nowadays you can sit at home and you can book your airline tickets or a movie tickets, or if you want to do the payments can be done online. So this is a new way how the business is operated nowadays. So it all come under the category of technological environment. Even advertising has taken a new form. You are doing online advertising on various social platforms about your goods and services. So let us revise this. You have to identify the dimension of business environment from following. The government restricted the use of LPG cylinder to only 9 per family per year. So it is legal environment. Next is Philips, a company manufacturing light bulb, incurred heavy expenditure on scientific research and development and discovered a technology that made it possible to produce an energy efficient light bulb that lasts at least 20 times as long as standard bulb. So this is, here we are talking of technological environment. Next example is in 1977, Ganta government came in majority. They adopted a strict policy against MNCs, and as a result they forced Coca-Cola company and IBM to move out of India. So when we talk of political party, it is political environment. Then advertisement including packet of cigarette carry the statutory warning, cigarette smoking is injurious to health. So this need to be there on all the packets of cigarettes. So this is legal environment. Then next is an Indian car company launched a car in Germany under the brand name Soft Mist. But after a short while the car had to be withdrawn despite its outstanding features and reasonable price. After a lot of research it was found that lack of demand for car was because of brand name, as the word mist mean cow dung in local languages. So due to this name, the sale of that car decrease. So this is the thinking and the values of that customers which has impacted the sale of the car. So it is social environment. Next is due to change in family composition from nuclear family with single child concept has come up. This increases the demand for different type of household goods. So earlier there used to be joint families, but now there are nuclear families with less number of children. So due to this, the demand for goods, household goods have increased, because earlier when they used to be there in joint family, they used to have a shared car, a shared kitchen, a shared TV, but now they have to buy it separately. So this environment again is a social environment. Next is when stock market rise, people invested in equity market gain wealth, and increased wealth often leads to increased spending by consumer. So whenever stock market rise and the people who invest in shares, they feel very happy that their share prices have increased, their wealth has increased. So due to this, lot of shopping is done and it is an opportunity for business as their sales increased. So it is economic environment. Now let us try this case study. First we will read the question. Identify and explain the dimensions of business environment discussed in above case. Now I'll read the case study. Accent Electronics Limited was operating its business in Malaysia. The company started exporting its products to India when the Prime Minister announced relaxation in import duties on electronic items. The company appointed retailers in India who had direct online links with the suppliers to replenish stock when needed. So if you can see this line, Prime Minister announced relaxation in import duties on electronic items. This shows that the government is showing a positive attitude towards electronic items. So this will come under the category of political environment. Now if you can see this line, the retailers in India who had direct online link with the suppliers to replenish stock whenever needed. So they have a link with suppliers, and whenever their stock finishes, they get an intimation and they get a direct online link, and as and when the stock is required, the stock is forwarded to them without any delay. So this is indication of technological environment. So these are the two environment which are being identified here. Now if you can see here you have to identify the environment also and then explain it also. Now we'll see how will you write an answer for this case study. So remember that the first line of answer should be there from the question. The various dimensions of business environment being referred to in the above case are as follows. political environment. First underline the heading. Then political environment includes political conditions such as, write 2-3 conditions or the things which are included in political environment, and then you should write some example also. So same you can do it for technological environment also. Technological environment includes forces related to scientific improvement and innovations which provide new ways of producing goods and services and new methods and techniques of operating a business, and then you should support it with some example. So whenever you get these type of questions where you have to identify the environment, first write the things which are included in that environment, write 3-4 points, and then you must support it with some example. You can write 1 or 2 example based on the weightage of the question. So this is a way how you have to answer the case study. So the topic which we have covered in this video are meaning of business environment, then features of business environment, and I told you for feature the alternative word can be nature or characteristics, then dimensions of business environment, and here we have done 5 dimensions: social, legal, economic, political and technological, and for this I have told you the acronym which you can remember is SLEPT. So I hope these topics are clear to you. So we'll be covering the remaining topic in next video. Till then, I wish you all a happy learning. Bye.